Good morning. In today's video, we will continue with the chapter The Happy Prince. So, we read that the swallow helped the boy who was tossing feverishly on his bed, and the mother, she was asleep. So, the happy prince wanted to help the boy, and what he did was he just requested the swallow to keep the ruby on the table. And the swallow went to the house of the boy, and what it did was it kept the ruby on the table and it shook its wing near him, and the boy, he felt better. So the boy, he went to sleep, and he just sank into a delicious slumber when the swallow fanned the boy. So today we will continue from page number 30, the last third paragraph. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince and told him what he had done. "It is curious," he remarked, "but I feel quite warm now, although it is so cold." "This is because you've done a good action," said the prince. And the little swallow began to think and then asleep. Thinking always made him sleep. So now in this it is given that the swallow, it flew back and it went to the statue of the happy prince and did tell the happy prince about what he had done. So the bird, it felt warm, and it says that it was very strange that it was feeling little warm although the weather was very cold. So the prince, he said, he remarked that it was that the swallow was feeling warm because it had done a good deed, and the good deed that the swallow had done was that it had helped a boy. It had helped the lady, the seamstress, who was not able to give anything to the son, who was not able to, like, she was living in poverty, so she was not having that much money that she can provide things to his son who was not well and who was suffering with fever. When day broke, he flew down to the river and had a bath. "Tonight I go to Egypt," said the swallow. And he was in high spirits at the prospect. Prospect is to think of something. He visited all the monuments and sat a long time on top of the church steeple. Steeple is a high tower of the church. So now in this, we read that the little swallow, it began to think also, and it fell asleep. So when the day broke, that means day broke is the next morning, the swallow went to the river and it took a bath, and the swallow thought that night he would reach Egypt. So he was quite excited, he was quite happy that he will reach Egypt and he'll be there with his friends. So what he did was, so the swallow visited all the monuments of the city, and after that the swallow sat on the high tower of the church, that is the steeple. When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. "Have you any commissions for Egypt?" he cried. "I am just starting." "Swallow, swallow, little swallow," said the prince, "will you stay with me one night longer?" "I'm waited for in Egypt," answered the swallow. So now in this, what is given here is that when the moon rose, that means when it was night time and the moon was there in the sky, so that time the swallow went to the happy prince, and the swallow wanted to seek permission of the happy prince because the swallow had to leave for Egypt. And then the swallow, the happy prince, now when the swallow was going, was about to leave. So that was the time when the happy prince requested the swallow to stay with him for one more night. And the swallow said that he wanted to go to Egypt because his friends were waiting for him in Egypt. "Swallow, swallow, little swallow," said the prince, "will you stay with me one night longer?" So it is now again the happy prince requested swallow to stay with him for one more night, and the swallow replied that it was his friends who were waiting for him in Egypt, so he cannot stay with the happy prince. "Swallow, swallow, little swallow," said the prince, "far away across the city I see a young man in a garret." So garret is a small dark room at the top of the house. He is leaning is bending. He is leaning over a desk covered with papers, and in the glass by his side there is a bunch of withered violets. Withered is worn out, like when the flowers they dry, that is they wither, right? And violets are the flowers. His hair is brown and crisp, and his lips are red as pomegranate, and he has large and dreamy eyes. He is trying to finish a play for the director of the theatre, but he is too cold to write any more. There is no fire in the grate, and hunger has made him faint. So now, in this, it is given that the swallow was to leave for Egypt as his friends were waiting. But the happy prince told the swallow that he has a work for swallow. So he just tells the swallow that he could see somebody there in a dark room, that is in a garret, that is at the top of the house. There is a young man who is sitting, and he was sitting on the desk with the papers spread all over. And the person, he was working very hard, he was trying to complete his work, but he was not able to concentrate, he was not able to complete his work. And there was a glass lying near him, in which there were withered flowers. So then after this, the happy prince said that the boy, he was given the work to finish writing a play, and he was a writer by profession. So he had to give the play to the director after writing, but as it was very cold, so he was not able to write, he was not able to he did not have the strength to write anymore, because he was feeling very cold. So this boy, he had no money. So there was no fire in his fireplace, and moreover, he was quite hungry also, and hunger made him faint. Faint is weak. So as he was very hungry, and it is just because he did not eat the food also, so he was feeling quite weak.